Our company is 30 days away from going bankrupt. This is what NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang says before every interview with his employees. Behind NVIDIA, the third largest company in the world after Microsoft and Apple, is Jensen Huang, the co-founder and CEO of NVIDIA. Maybe that doesn't mean anything to you about NVIDIA because it's not necessarily known to the general public, and yet its stock market value is $3,000 billion. I had to Google to find out how many zeros there were after that. Apple is $2.759 billion, and Microsoft $3.159 billion. NVIDIA equips most computer products with graphics chips. They now hold more than 80% market share on these chips, and also work in autonomous cars and artificial intelligence. They are everywhere. Today, I would like to share with you this story which touched me a lot and which boosted me for the 10 years to come. The story of Jensen Huang, born in Taiwan on February 17, 1963, whose early life and journey should never have allowed him to create NVIDIA. Jensen Huang, real name Jensen Huang, sorry in advance, I think it's pronounced like that. He was born into a modest family. His father was an engineer in Taiwan and his mother was an elementary school teacher. He once shared in an interview, "I am the fruit of my parents' dreams." Every day my mother, who didn't speak English, would choose 10 random English words from the dictionary and ask us to spell her words and give her the definition. That's what my brother and I had fun doing. At the end of the 60s, when his father, Mr. Huang, at the age of 30, he had the opportunity to go to the United States as part of a professional training program. It was at Carriers, a manufacturer of air conditioners which today belongs to United Technologies at that time, and upon discovering the U.S., he vowed to one day be able to send Jensen and his older brother to American soil. At the age of 5, Jensen moved with his family to Thailand, and because of the Vietnam War, his parents decided to send him and his brother alone to live with an uncle in Washington, United States. As a result, Jensen was just 9 years old when he arrived in the U.S. for the first time alone with his brother, and at that time, he had absolutely no idea that he was going to live the worst years of his life. Well, he doesn't tell it like that because for him it was normal, but you will see that for us it's not at all, and finally for me it was a shock when I really discovered the story and the details, and that's where I said to myself that I have to make a video of it. It takes place in 1973. Jensen Huang has just emigrated to the United States to live with his uncle, and his uncle, who has just joined in fact with his brother, he decides to send them to an establishment that he believes to be a boarding school, just to do something with their lives. The elementary school is called Oneida Baptist Institute in Kentucky, and it is not at all a simple boarding school. It is an Academy of Religious Reforms, which is a reform school for unmanageable children. I remind you that Jensen and his brother learn 10 words of English a day from a mother who doesn't speak English. They are far from being unmanageable children. Yet they are sent there, but because his uncle did not know that it was not a simple boarding school. And in the interview with The New Yorker, Jensen Huang tells this. "I hadn't thought about doing that, but it seemed normal to us. We were genuinely happy at that time. It was hard, but we thought it was normal in the United States. The American dream. I ended up exercising so we could defend ourselves by doing 100 push-ups every night and kept myself busy by helping the other kids with their homework. I want to see in the comments, but we agree that he is the dream son. Well, I'm not necessarily on the list to see children there now, but for me, Jensen Huang, it suits me very, very well. Despite that, you will see that in 2022, he decided to make a donation to help this school change the guy's mind. They make you scrub the toilet at 9 years old. You are more than successful. You are the third market capitalization in the world, and you say to yourself, "Oh, well, I was thinking about it. We are going to make a donation to the school," which really helped me messed up my childhood, actually. 2 years later, 1975, Jensen's parents were able to immigrate to the U.S., and it was only then that they realized the situation of their children. Because yes, you didn't have Snapchat at the time or FaceTime to debrief your day with your parents, and it was at that moment that Jensen and his brother finally managed to escape from this school to find their parents who have just arrived in the U.S. The story continues in Oregon as the family then moves to a small town in that state near Portland. Anecdote: the founder of Nike, Phil Knight, was born in the same city. I'm just saying that because I read his video. I'm laughing. Jensen was actually able to integrate better into this town. It wasn't difficult at the same time after what he had experienced, even if he still sometimes had difficulty connecting with his high school friends. He excelled in his studies and landed his first job at 15. In a Denny's. He washed dishes. helped in the kitchen, and waited tables. I think that for him, after what he had experienced, it was the dream. He says honestly, do you still feel it? The banana, the thing. It was 1984 when Jensen graduated from high school in Iowa with a degree in electrical engineering a year early. His father had trained in chemical engineering. Maybe that must have helped in inspiration mode. In addition to this academic success, Jensen was a professional table tennis player. That's it. It's just to add another little layer. He was nationally ranked. And it was at this school that Jensen met the love of his life, Lori Mills. She was his engineering lab partner, and she graduated with a degree in electrical engineering a year later, in 1985. Soon after, they married, had many children. Subscribe to the channel. Bye, see you soon. Almost. Because only Jensen continued to work. At the same time, they later married and both found work in Silicon Valley. And Jensen loves to tell the story that his wife made more money than he did in their first job as an engineer. His wife left her job after they had 2 children to care for them. And Jensen continued his career as a microprocessor designer at LSI Logic and AMD, 2 companies that were designing microprocessors at the time. These are things that you don't see there, but that you have in your iPhone, that you have in computers, that you have in electric barriers. Anyway, they are everywhere as long as you ask a computer to calculate something. He then managed his own team at LSI Logic, then became director of the company. But that's not enough for him. 1992, Jensen decided in addition to his work to obtain a master's degree in electrical engineering at Stanford University. He took classes at night and earned his master's degree that same year, a year before NVIDIA's debut. 1993, and we find ourselves no longer in an atmosphere in the colors of NVIDIA. Jensen is 30 years old. He likes to return to Denny's restaurants to work on his ideas. Far from diving, it was in the same chain of restaurants where he worked at the age of 15 that he co-founded NVIDIA with 2 other friends. He then gives up his stable, very well-paid job to embark on the adventure of his life. The guy, 2 kids to support, small family, we're here, we stop everything. We start from scratch. It all starts with video games for Jensen. His initial idea was to specialize in the design and manufacturing of graphics chips to improve the rendering of digital games. Back then, it wasn't what's on your iPhone today. He said, "We believe that this computational model could solve problems that general computing fundamentally could not solve." These other 2 friends, who also designed chips, were older. Chris Malachowski and Curtis Prim. All 3 of them had $40,000 in their pockets to start NVIDIA. You quit your stable job, you have 2 kids, you have $40,000, and you say, "We're going to revolutionize video games. Go ahead. Let's go." Jensen was unanimously named CEO because Chris and Curtis knew he was a quick learner. All this in a Denny's restaurant cabin where, sometime before, they were washing dishes. It didn't matter if people believed in us. We believed in ourselves. We had the courage to follow our own path. When I told you about this live video on YouTube, which you were able to follow, you asked me the question, why is NVIDIA called NVIDIA? Jensen said it. We couldn't find a name. In fact, it happened very simply because every time we named our files, it was called NV for next version. And as a result, the confusers became attached to these letters. They searched for a word that matched this abbreviation and finally chose the Latin term, NVIDIA, from which they removed the I, which means envy or jealousy. And their logo was also built around the name, since the word NVIDIA is associated with the evil eye. A curse cast by a look, and the color green is often linked to jealousy, hence the expression being green with jealousy. Yes, maybe you're like me, you learned a lot of things in a very, very short time. Given the success of the American company, we might think that this sentence is mainly aimed at their competitors. 1996, Roman Lineri was born on May 15th. No, we don't give a damn. NVIDIA is financed to the tune of $20 million by Sequoia Capital. Sequoia Capital is a company specializing in the financing and development of startups. They have worked with Apple, Airbnb from WhatsApp. And so you say to yourself that less than 3 years after launch, they have already proven themselves enough to receive $20 million in investment from this fund. 1999, NVIDIA invented the graphics processing unit called GPU and set new standards in visual computing with interactive graphics. Their first product, GeForce 256, was born the first in a flagship series that we all know. If you're a bit of a gamer, otherwise welcome GeForce. Without this technology, films like Harry Potter, Iron Man, or Avatar might not be as visually incredible as we know them today. Because yes, the computing power will go so far as to create synthetic images. That same year, NVIDIA went public and giants like Microsoft took over their technology for video games in 2001. If you had an Xbox, an NVIDIA graphics card was inside. Family anecdote: the president and CEO of AMD, NVIDIA's competitors, is Lisa Su. She is the cousin of Wong's mother. There you go. We do this as a family. For a few trillions, it's cool. Jensen Huang still holds 3.51% of NVIDIA shares today, and it was in 2007 when his annual salary of $24.6 million was revealed in Forbes with his position as the 61st highest-paid CEO in the USA that he requested to reduce it to $1 per year. He hates ostentatious rankings. It's insolent. Oh, I don't like rankings, so I get paid more so you have more problems. We've been working for days now, and maybe there are still things we're missing. Don't hesitate to tell me about it in the comments. If you have any other crazy anecdotes, we'll look at the comments. 2012, the shift towards artificial intelligence begins. NVIDIA takes part in the AlexNet network, which is a pioneer in facial recognition. And 10 years later, NVIDIA AI Enterprise was born. The OpenAI company behind ChatGPT is taking over NVIDIA's computing power. And since then, the company has posted record numbers. NVIDIA is also the automotive sector once again with autonomous vehicles, virtual reality, blockchain technology, everything that requires computing power. But all the stuff, it's there. From cryptocurrency to vehicles and also space, because I guess you must have computing power and rockets. His daughter, Madison Huang, now manages product communications at NVIDIA, and his son, Spencer Huang, is a product manager. With family, it works better. We understand each other better on Sunday NVIDIA at the table. When I think back to his childhood, I find it hard to believe that he donated $2 million to the religious school in 2022. I told you at the very beginning, it's $2 million that he gives to the religious school. He will also have given $50 million to his former university in Oregon and $30 million to Stanford University to build Jin Hun Wang School of Engineering Center, which will provide a new building for the school and an academic destination and social for students, teachers in science, engineering, and trade. I didn't wonder about it before reading it, but in fact, Jensen Huang is one of the rare tech founders who has remained at the helm of his company since its inception. He declared in 2017 to reporter Anrex Nuska, "I have been talking about the same story for 15 years. I have almost never had to change my slides." Its whole story allowed me to understand NVIDIA's unofficial motto. Our company is 30 days away from going bankrupt. That's what Jensen tells his employees before starting big meetings. Today, Jensen Huang has an estimated net worth of $77 billion and still takes the time to send about 50 emails a day to the 50 people he works with, directly. Because afterwards, then, these 50 give back to 50 and so on. And that creates a business. Notes, ideas, inspiring quotes. He is one of the only CEOs who has retained so many direct reports. 1973, Jensen Huang scrubbed toilets at age 9. 2024, Goldman Sachs calls Jensen's company the most valuable stock on the planet.